Something just entered orbit, and no one is telling us what it really does. On June 24, 2025, Rocket Lab launched a mission called Symphony in the Stars. It sounded harmless, even poetic. A routine commercial satellite launch, they said. But behind the beauty of its name lies an invisible payload cloaked in mystery. No company name, no mission goal, no public footage. It was a black box, and black boxes in space rarely mean good news. In an era where transparency defines space science, this kind of silence is not just unusual, it's deliberate. You see, satellites don't have to carry weapons to be dangerous. All they need is the ability to listen, to see, to watch the world silently from above. And this satellite, whatever it is, might be the quietest threat we've ever launched. Who owns it? What is it listening to? Why did Rocket Lab agree to hide it? The real question isn't what was launched. It's what's being hidden. And if we start asking questions now, we may never know what's floating above us, silently watching everything we do. On June 24, 2025, Rocket Lab successfully launched its Electron rocket from the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand, a place now known for small but sophisticated space missions. The launch was smooth. The timing was flawless. The mission name, Symphony in the Stars, sounded like something out of a romantic science fiction movie. But almost immediately after the payload separated from the second stage, the world was left with nothing. No name, no technical sheet, no declared function, just a silent satellite fading into Earth's shadow. Now here's the catch. This isn't just strange. It's a violation of the unspoken code that most commercial spaceflight operations follow. Transparency. When SpaceX launches something, they at least give you a name. When NASA sends a rover, they show you every bolt. But this time, even veteran analysts tracking satellite launches using NORAD and space telemetry couldn't identify the payload. It was there, but also invisible. A signal without a sender, a satellite without a flag. And when something is launched into orbit with no digital footprint, no public announcement, and no registration in the United Nations Outer Space Objects Index, it doesn't just raise eyebrows. It raises alarms. You see, in the space community, every object placed into orbit is expected to be cataloged. Not just for safety and traffic management, but for global accountability. Even CubeSats launched by college students get serial numbers. But this satellite slipped through the system. Deliberately. Rocket Lab's own public communications never mentioned what the satellite was, who paid for it, or why it needed to be so hidden. They simply stated that the mission was successfully deployed to sun-synchronous orbit. That's like telling someone a new plane took off, but refusing to say where it went, who was on it, or whether it ever landed. And here is where things take a darker turn. This isn't the first time Rocket Lab has done this. In recent months, they've carried out several launches for unnamed government customers, where payloads were kept classified and mission details were wiped from public logs. This new pattern suggests more than just coincidence. It suggests a new kind of space activity. It's one that hides behind corporate branding, but serves national, or perhaps even transnational intelligence interests. A satellite launched in silence is rarely designed for peaceful curiosity. It's built to monitor, to listen, to track, to intercept. If this satellite was meant for something scientific, why the secrecy? If it was just an imaging satellite, why not show us the specs? If it belonged to a commercial client, why not celebrate the milestone? There are only two answers. Either it's a military-grade, intelligent satellite launched under the guise of commercial spaceflight, or it's part of a private, powerful surveillance network being quietly built above our heads. Either way, the public deserves to know what's floating above their homes. Not all orbits are created equal. The satellite launched by Rocket Lab was placed into a sun-synchronous orbit, a very specific, very strategic pathway around the Earth. Unlike geostationary orbits that hover over one spot or low Earth orbits used for broadband constellations, a sun-synchronous orbit does something far more cunning. It allows the satellite to pass over every part of the planet at the same local solar time every day. That means consistent lighting, consistent shadows. Perfect conditions for photography, imaging, and surveillance. Every single day. It's the orbit of choice for Earth observation, weather monitoring, and you guessed it, spy satellites. This isn't speculation, it's math. A satellite in this orbit crosses over the equator at the same local time on each pass, which means it can observe the same terrain under the same light every 24 hours. Want to monitor a city without people noticing shadows shifting in images? This is the orbit. Want to track a military base and detect changes, like a convoy moving or a door opening, with pixel-level precision? This is the orbit. Want to intercept electronic signals that bounce off the Earth at predictable angles, with the ability to triangulate them using AI algorithms? This is the orbit. So ask yourself, why would a satellite launched in total secrecy be placed in the one orbit best known for surveillance consistency? Why would Rocket Lab deploy something hidden into an orbit that historically hosts reconnaissance spacecraft from nations like the United States, Russia, China, and Israel? You don't put a musical instrument in a war zone unless you expect it to spy. What's more disturbing is this. Placing a satellite in sun-synchronous orbit isn't cheap. It requires precise trajectory, sophisticated mission planning, and cutting-edge satellite design. That means the group behind this operation has advanced technological capability, not just to build the satellite, but to guide it, operate it, and harvest its data. Quietly, no one launches a silent satellite into such a loud orbit, unless they have a lot to hide, and even more to gain. Space is governed by international agreements, and every object launched should be registered with the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. This system exists not only to ensure safety, but also to maintain accountability among nations and companies. Yet, the satellite deployed by Rocket Lab on June 24th is conspicuously absent from this registry. Analysts scanning tracking data noticed it simply appeared in orbit without the usual paperwork trail. This absence is not a clerical error. It's a deliberate choice, signaling the satellite's covert nature. When governments or corporations bypass registration, they step outside international norms, signaling operations designed to avoid scrutiny. This deliberate invisibility poses risks both politically and for space. Traffic safety and indicates a broader trend of secret satellites that threaten the open space era. Once considered a boutique launcher for small satellites, Rocket Lab is quickly evolving into a critical infrastructure provider for secretive orbital missions. Unlike government programs, which are often constrained by transparency mandates, private companies like Rocket Lab can offer a veil of plausible deniability. Their growing portfolio includes classified payloads paid for by government and private entities alike, blurring lines between public oversight and corporate secrecy. This mission demonstrates how private launchers enable a new era of orbital espionage, where technology is privatized, operations are shielded, and the public is left in the dark. This shift challenges traditional space governance and demands new policies. It's addressing the privatization of military and surveillance activities. The mystery payload's orbital characteristics suggest a SIGINT satellite platform designed to intercept electronic communications, radar, and other signals critical for military intelligence. Unlike imaging satellites, SIGINT platforms don't need large cameras. Instead, they use sophisticated antennas and receivers capable of eavesdropping on terrestrial and airborne transmissions. This capability is essential in modern warfare and global intelligence collection. A secret satellite launched in silence means its operator aims to covertly gather data from multiple regions without alerting adversaries or the public. The weaponization of space through SIGINT capabilities highlights how the invisible war above Earth shapes geopolitics and national security. Today, as governments race to maintain space superiority, private entities are increasingly entering the intelligence arena. Private defense contractors, multinational corporations, and even hedge funds are investing in satellite constellations capable of monitoring global activities with unprecedented precision. This democratization of intelligence tools empowers non-state actors, but raises troubling questions about control, accountability, and the potential misuse of surveillance. The Rocket Lab launch underscores this new, competitive space race not between nations, but between governments and private powers whose interests often overlap or conflict. How these actors collaborate or compete will define the future balance of power in orbit and on Earth. Modern satellites increasingly employ onboard AI to process data, autonomously identifying patterns, tracking targets, and making decisions in real time. If the secret satellite launched by Rocket Lab is equipped with such an eye, it could independently analyze signals or imagery and relay only critical information back to Earth. This reduces the need for constant human monitoring and enables stealthier surveillance operations. AI-driven space assets represent a leap in orbital capabilities, shifting from passive data collectors to active intelligence agents. Such autonomy adds complexity to space governance and raises ethical concerns about unchecked automated surveillance. Space is no longer just a scientific frontier. It's an active theater of strategic competition. Nations are deploying weapons, jamming devices, and cyber tools targeting satellites. But alongside visible weaponry, silent intelligence satellites carry out covert missions, shaping conflicts without a single shot fired. The Rocket Lab satellite fits into this paradigm of stealth and subtlety, where dominance in space depends on information superiority. The risk is that these quiet operations escalate tensions, provoke countermeasures, and inadvertently push space toward becoming a more dangerous militarized domain. Sun-synchronous satellites follow predictable paths, but their orbits can be fine-tuned to focus surveillance on specific regions or targets. By coordinating multiple satellites in a constellation, operators achieve near-continuous coverage. The stealth satellite launched in June could be part of such a network, tasked with monitoring hotspots, conflict zones, critical infrastructure, or key military installations. Understanding orbital mechanics and satellite positioning helps explain how a single small satellite can multiply its impact by working in concert with others, creating an invisible web of global oversight. Surveillance satellites have long raised privacy concerns, but secret, unregistered satellites take these fears to a new level. They operate without oversight, potentially spying on civilian populations, foreign governments, or even allies. The ethical implications are profound. What rights do individuals have when they are unknowingly observed from space? Who is responsible when data gathered is misused? The rise of secret satellites challenges current legal frameworks and demands urgent debate over privacy, transparency, and accountability in space. Information is the most powerful weapon of the 21st century. The one who sees first, acts first. And satellites are the ultimate eyes. With enough data, you can predict supply chain disruptions, troop movements, even social unrest. If this satellite is gathering that kind of intelligence, it's not just floating in space, it's shaping the world from above silently. Rocket Lab has launched over 40 missions, but several recent ones have quietly carried undisclosed government payloads. A pattern is emerging. The company may now be the go-to launch provider for small-scale silent surveillance. While the public watches SpaceX launch megarockets, Rocket Lab may be slowly building the invisible backbone of a private orbital intelligence web. A satellite in a sun-synchronous orbit can pass over global hotspots multiple times a day. From Eastern Europe to the South China Sea, it can capture data constantly. Military analysts suspect this mystery payload could be watching Ukraine, Taiwan, the Middle East, or even U.S. allies. In geopolitics, even allies spy on each other. So who's being watched and why? As more satellites go up with zero transparency, we face a serious ethical question. Should companies be allowed to launch surveillance satellites without public accountability? Should governments use private rockets to hide state missions? We don't let private planes fly unregistered. Why is space different? Silence in orbit isn't just secrecy. It's a loophole. And dangerous actors can exploit it. Look up. Somewhere above you, something is watching. You won't hear it. You won't see it. But it's there, a tiny machine in space, built to observe, analyze, and possibly manipulate. It may be working for your government, or someone else's. It may be watching the weather, or your phone. But one thing is certain. The age of orbital surveillance is here. And Rocket Lab's latest launch may be one of its darkest opening chapters. The sky above us used to be a symbol of wonder. Now it's becoming a mirror, watching everything we do. Rocket Lab's secret launch isn't just a technical feat. It's a warning. A warning that the race for control in space has already begun, and most of us are still looking down. So what do you think is really orbiting Earth today? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of the truth, beyond the headlines, and one step ahead of the silence, make sure to comment what you believe this satellite is really for, like if this opened your eyes. Subscribe to the Daily Scope for space news, mysteries, and discoveries no one else is telling you. We're watching the skies, so you don't have to.